Yeah, good. You know, I've talked here a few times and had a lot of fun talking to everyone, but I think it's mostly different people. And I'm not 100% sure what to cover today. So I can be flexible. You guys, if you guys provide hints as what you want to hear about, or if you want to say anything right now at the beginning about which would be fun.
I just like that reinforcement learning. I understand the artificial intelligence. I can kind of understand reinforcement learning, but I'd like to hear how you say it.
Well, it's kind of an approach to artificial intelligence. It's based on learning, and it's really motivated or mainly by how we think people and animals might learn. And so it's learning by trial and error, by rewards and penalties. And so we have goals right at the beginning, whereas lots of approaches to artificial intelligence are mainly based on mimicking examples of people or something like that. These are goal-oriented systems, the way animals and people are. Yeah, reinforcement learning. And that's our little group, Art on AI. And we've been here for 13 years now. We were in 2011. You know Patrick. He's one of our PIs. Do you know any of the guys yet?
Yeah, you know Patrick. Yeah.
Poetry. I know from the poetry.
Yeah, he's also a well-known poet.
Yeah.
I guess he spoke yesterday, or last time, Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We have a lot of fun trying to do AI. And so today I got my slide. Oh, I got to put this in here. Future of AI is roughly what we're talking about, and try to give you ways to think about AI. First, the definition, intelligence. Some people say we can't make a definition. I think we can, it's no problem. This is my definition. The ability, computational part, the ability to achieve goals. Okay, so like, what else achieves goals other than people and animals achieve goals? Like maybe your thermostat achieves the goal of keeping your house at the same temperature. There's a little bit of intelligence in your thermostat, and it's really useful. Maybe your phone helps keep you organized, and it maybe reminds you of things, trying to keep things on track. Just a tiny bit of intelligence maybe in your phone. But the interesting thing is that it's a phenomenon that there are things in the world that are most usefully thought of as having goals, such as people, such as animals. Maybe other things you can think of in terms of having goals. I'm trying to give you the sense that it's a matter of degree. It's not really yes or no. If someone says, is a thermostat really intelligent? You should tell them just go away. That's the wrong question. There's no sense of really. It's just degrees, and it also depends upon who you are. If you have a chess playing program and you're playing against it, you may think of it as having the goal of checkmating. And it's a really useful way, because no matter what happens, you're going to be checkmating. Okay? But if you're a computer programmer and you wrote the program, you wrote the chess program, and then you may understand it at different levels. At a different level, and you may have a different sense. It's not useful for you to think of it as having a goal. It's useful for you to think of it as having a certain search procedure which works in a certain way and sees a certain depth. And you can understand it. If you're a programmer, it may be more useful for you to understand it at that other level, at the mechanistic level. But of course, if it searches deeply enough, even if you're a programmer, it'll be easier to predict what it will do by saying it's going to checkmate. Okay? So I say it's a powerful phenomenon. And let's just go to the extreme there, because oh good.
Is there a lower cutoff that you can define it? Like say, below this it's not intelligence, it's something else, and then above this?
It's not meant to be, I don't want to make a cutoff. I want to talk about degrees of intelligence. And so notice it's in the observer. So it's not, you can't really look at the system. The system is intelligent. It's intelligent because I find it useful to think of it as having a goal. Like if you're the thermostat repairman, you don't want to think of having a goal. You just want to think it's supposed to do this and it's not doing it, you know? You have to think about it at the mechanistic level. So it all depends on the purpose. And I would not use, it seems a little funny to use a highfalutin word like intelligence for a thermostat. If it's just a little piece of coil of wire that's heating up or closing a switch or whatever. But the ability to achieve goals is clearly a continuous phenomenon. You could say gravity has the goal of getting everything low, okay? And for many purposes, that's useful to explain. Like if you spill water all over your room, you know it's going to go to the lowest place. And rocks will go to a low place down a hill. And you might want to think of other things having a goal, like your car. Have you ever had a car where you thought it was just, trying to make you late to everything? It just hates you. Or did you ever work for an organization? You could say organizations have goals. The university has the goals. Maybe the university has the goal of making bright, educated people. Or maybe the university has the goal of getting the government reelected. Or university organizations would have view goals in different ways, and it's useful to predict what they might do, what people in them might do. What else to talk about? How we should think of the word intelligence. I say it's a powerful phenomenon. Ray Kurzweil, who I think actually is right about a lot of things, says it is the most powerful phenomenon in the universe, intelligence. He's thinking that sure, we have, stars and physics, and those are powerful phenomena, supernovas. But where will the matter be distributed in a million years? Do you think it's going to be because physics played out? Or is it going to be a lot due to whatever intelligent people they are and what actions that people take through their highly evolved people who eventually maybe will be able to control matter at a large scale? Maybe we'll make computronium surrounding the sun. That's one of the theories of where we will go. So maybe this is actually the most powerful phenomenon ultimately in the universe, given enough time. Now let's think about what's happening now. And I think that it's heating up. There's more and more things happening in AI in the last 5 years, say. So what's happened just the last 5 years? We've had IBM Watson. This is where they learned, the machine that learned to play Jeopardy better than any people, which is quite surprising, I thought. We've had deep neural networks, deep learning, just getting vastly better at speech recognition and computer vision. So I was quite struck in the last few years because I use using my iPhone, and it's able to do speech recognition in very diverse situations. Like you can be driving a car and it will still recognize your speech well. That certainly wasn't possible just a few years ago. And that's because of advances in deep learning, what's called deep learning. It's neural networks. It's artificial neural networks. We've been working on it for many years, but they've made really great strides in the last 5 years. Self-driving cars, it really seems like they're around the corner now. DeepMind, DeepMind is a subpart of Google. Google's DeepMind used reinforcement learning methods to learn to play Atari games at the human level much better than, not much better than people, but the amazing thing was that it plays like 50 different games with the same program. So it learns on a game, it learns to play well, and then it can play well, and then take that same program and they apply it to another game, and it learns to play well in another game. These are kind of diverse Atari games. So that struck everybody, and actually was led to DeepMind being acquired by Google because of that demonstration. The University of Alberta saw poker, two-person heads-up limit poker last year, and that is an enormous computational thing. People might have thought that poker is different because it isn't just about true search. You have to bluff. You have to know something about your opponent. And AlphaGo just says here, you guys notice the AlphaGo thing? Yeah, AlphaGo is another game, the game of Go, or Oriental game, more and more complicated than chess, and it had resisted solution for many, many years. It's been how many years since the computers became the best in the world at chess? 1997. And it's now sort of 2017. So almost 20 years since they beat the chess. Yeah, you wouldn't. All that time, throughout the 90s and 80s, they said, "Oh, you said chess would be solved a long time ago." There were so many complaints, but now it's off in the past. It's just sort of taken for granted. So at the same time, as the abilities are coming up, we also see money going into AI. There's lots of big companies like Google, Facebook, lots of things like that, and lots of startup companies. And I may make a startup. Looks like I might. There are lots of startups all around. So we might ask this question, why are these things happening now? Is it because we figured things out? Is it because the AI guys have made some big progress? Or is it something else? Why is it happening now? And I think why it's happening now is what we call colloquially Moore's Law, just this exponential rise in computer power. Inexorably, it's been happening for decades, more than 50 years, and it will continue happening. Now, I want to distinguish Moore's Law proper is some statement about a number of transistors you can have in a chip, a certain area of chip of a transistor. And I'm using it more generally to refer to this exponential improvement in computer power. Okay? So that we can track over the decades. Looks something like this. Okay, so this is these points, each one of these points is a particular computer. Came out in a particular year. So in 1965, some computer came out that had a certain amount of computation, calculations per second, per $1,000. Like the computer costs $1,000, would be the number of calculations per second. If it costs $10,000, it would be 1/10 of that, and so on. So you can plot this performance versus expense, and notice that the y-axis is logarithmic, exponential, the logarithm, so that each unit there is actually 100. I guess this is 10 to the second to 10 to the fourth. That's 100 times increase, and so on. Each one is 100 times. So if this was a straight line, it would be, it's almost straight, but if it was a straight line, it would be geometric exponential improvement. So, and that's what Moore's Law is. Originally, it was a doubling. They said computer power doubles every 2 years. Now it's more like 18 months. So all I want to say about that is that this is this mega trend in computation, and it's held for a long time. We can expect it to continue to happen. And really, it's at least half the reason for the recent progress. We've just had better, bigger computers. And sure, there are algorithmic improvements, but it's almost as if the algorithmic improvements are waiting for the computer power to be there, so they can really shine, do well. So why is it happening this way? Why is it exponential? It's useful, fun to think about that a little bit, and it's because we use each new computer to make the next computer. So if we get a better computer, that lets us make a still better computer. And it also continues to happen because it's so valuable, right? Computers, we all have computers now, carry them in our pockets. There's just everything is run by computers. All of our stores are making their decisions about what products to have in their inventory by computers. Amazon has its whole delivery system computerized. And so it's just really important, really valuable. And all those things we can expect will continue happening. So many people are working on it. I think it's going to happen a long time longer. and we're nowhere near the theoretical limits. I mean, why would we be here right now? So I can go into more detail. I'm not going to. Everything is increasing exponentially. But I wanted to just sort of do what they commonly do, a little bit speculative, just draw out the line and try to figure out when we'll have enough computer power to really make people, make minds that can work and are as capable as people. Now this is just computer power, doesn't mean we know how to do it. But you know, the fact and even this number, the y-axis number for what's enough to make a person is unsure. It's made in a reasonable way based on extrapolations from a number of calculations in brain matter, a certain weight of matter, of brain tissue. But it's somewhat uncertain. Okay, but think about where we've been, where AI has been. It's been down here with many orders of magnitude short of what we estimate you would need for a person. So you have to cut the AI guys some slack. Even if we figured out the algorithms, we probably didn't have enough computer power that we could have made something as smart as a person. Okay? On the other hand, we're going to, and you can extrapolate down the x-axis and figure out, according to that estimate, when we'll have enough power. And it's about 2030. And that's been estimated for a long time. It's about 2030. It seems pretty stable. Modulo our uncertainty about how much we need to make a person. Okay, so well, this is like almost the biggest thing that I want you guys to understand. We've got to run alongside this increase in computer power as the field of AI has to figure out algorithms. It's roughly an order of magnitude every 5 years. So in 5 years, we will have computers that are 10 times faster. And according to the projections, we need about we need to get to 2030. We need to get to 2030 would have enough for $1,000. Then 2025 would have enough for $10,000, right? We could buy enough computer power for $10,000. Okay, and then 2020, we would need $100,000. Well, let's go all the way to 2015, or today. So today, according to this way of calculations, we could get enough computer power for $1 million. If you had $1 million, you could buy enough GPUs, or whatever it takes, so that you can make something like a person. I think it's not unreasonable to think. You know, notice it wouldn't be very valuable, right? You spend $1 million and you get something that you can sort of see and act like a person, if we had the software, if we had the algorithms to run on it. It would not be super valuable. It would not make you an instant wealthy person or a wealthy company if you could make lots of things, but you had to spend $1 million on every one. You know, it's more fun and easier to create people in the ordinary way. But this changes. You know, every 5 years, the cost goes down by an order of magnitude. So if we can do it today for $1 million, we'll be able to do it 2030 for $1,000, and 2040 for $10. Okay, so that's where we are. And so, yeah, everyone, all the AI researchers, they have their computer that costs $1,000. Yeah, question?
Okay, one of your claims to fame, that Kim always said that when we went to the big meeting and they had 80 people, you were the only one that was not in with the enslavement. Now, is that I'm thinking is that 2030 when, you know, we can probably make a person
Yeah.
that they're thinking around them. Is that the idea of enslavement?
So let's get to enslavement. You know, I'm going through this to make it clear that I do think it's something we should take seriously, that we're going to have the ability to make people-sized intelligence. We're going to have the hardware, and the hardware is going to push the algorithmic designers, and so we will have it. Now, when will it come? Yeah. When will be this time when we finally understand the principles of intelligence, what it is and how it works, well enough to design and create beings as intelligent as ourselves? I think this is, let's just enjoy how great a goal this is, how big of a deal that is. If it'd be great for science, it'd be great for humanities. If we can make people, we can experiment with different ideas, and we can learn how they work, and that would be just a great thing. It would change so many things, and its significance would really be beyond even our species, beyond history, because we would be creating beings that are as powerful as ourselves, and then more powerful than ourselves, and they would quickly become the greatest, most powerful beings. So I really think we should be paying attention that this is going to happen. Now, when will it happen? Yeah, since you mentioned that, let's deal with that right off. I've stated that it makes sense to me that if we have the computer power at roughly 2030, that we will figure out the algorithms, because in order to do it fairly quickly, say within 10 years, just because there'll be such enormous and economic power and economic value unlocked if we can figure out the algorithms once the computational power is available. So I say by 2040. By 2040, it's a 50-50 chance. So there's a great uncertainty. We can't pick a date of high certainty. We can pick a date for the median. It's as likely to be before 2040 as it is after 2040, in my opinion. And I would put a 25% chance that it will happen before 2030. Like, we can just anticipate, the computer power will become available for us cheaply by 2030, so maybe we're Google, invest enough money, figure it out, spend enough time that it gets figured out before that. Yeah, and then, of course, we're gonna, because it's such a fundamental change, we'll be making things more powerful than ourselves. Will they be slaves? Or how should we think about making things more powerful than us? So we should be scared, according to many people. I don't think we should be scared, but let's go with recognition of the fact that lots of people are scared. So many people fear this success, that it may be unsafe and threaten our role as masters of the universe, which we are maybe now. So the fear is that AI is going to be much smarter than us. I think that's, at least in some sense, likely, or it's likely to be true, at least in some sense. Yeah, Nick Bostrom wrote the book. You've probably seen the book, covered the book. Elon Musk has famously been worried about this. And Steve Hawking, although Steve Hawking is more, I think he's been relaxed by talking to the deep mind people. And I don't think AI researchers have done a real good job with this PR. They have either joined it or they've been dismissive. So Andrew Ng, one of our famous reinforcement learning AI researchers, who compares worrying about strong AIs similar to worrying about overpopulation on Mars, as saying we're not there yet, we're far from there. It's crazy to even be thinking about it, talking about it. And Jeff Hinton, one of the founders of deep learning, says that strong AI, don't worry about it because it won't be for a long time. I don't think this is really altogether responsible, because even if it doesn't happen this week, it will happen at some point, and we should be prepared for it. We should be worrying. We should be paying attention. We should be worrying about it enough to think about what it might mean. So I made up this imaginary conversation between me and some fearful person who's smart and but is scared. Because I don't know, we have to think about this. We have to think about it. I'm telling you what I think, but I'm not saying you should think the way I think. I want you to think for your own. But let's think smart, fearful person. Eventually, all the machines will be smarter than us! Exclamation mark. Worry. So I would say, yes, that's true. I agree. Sometime they'll be smarter than us. And I also would agree that at that time we would either have to subjugate them, enslave them, or risk that they enslave or destroy us. Because they're smarter. What's going to happen? We might hope that we're also smart. That's one thing that could happen. But let's go ahead with this idea that eventually the machines may well be smarter than us. And that would seem to me to imply one of these two things to happen, both of which, at least superficially, seems concerning. Okay, so let's continue on. So what does a smart, fearful person, or SFP, say after I've agreed with them? All this says we must ensure that we can subjugate them. Only one of these two things happen. We have to ensure that we can subjugate them because it seems kind of questionable morally, but we have to do it because we're kind of enslaving them. And it may be very hard to maintain this because they're smarter than us, and how are we going to keep them under control? And even though that if we do try to contain them, there'll be the problem that if they ever get away from us, they're going to be pissed off at us, and they're going to rationally want to squash us so that we don't enslave them again. So these are all things they're worried about. All that is the fear. Okay? And my response, or we could just do the other option. Okay? Option B removes you from all those problems. You risk that they subjugate or destroy us. So risk is not a terrible thing. Risk there's the dignity of risk. And life should be an adventure, and you cannot control how the world is going to evolve. Or maybe you can't control how the world is going to evolve. This is really trying to control it. They're saying, we're going to make smarter things, but we're going to control what they do, even though they're... Okay, so let's talk about option two, or option B. What might happen if we do B? We risk that they might subjugate or destroy us. Okay, well, in that case too, one of two things will happen. One, we may be still of some value, and then we may sort of find our place in the economy or ecology of this future world where there are super intelligent beings and there are also different kinds of beings. Maybe they're still useful. Maybe they there are many things we could do. But we'll either find some value and live on, or we'll be useless and in the way, and then we will go extinct. We may be useless and just kind of ignore it. We may be useless and in the way, and then we will go extinct. And just think about that possibility. Suppose we do make these things, they're better than us, we are useless, and we're in the way. Well, you know, millions of animals and things have gone extinct in the past. You know, if that was the case, wouldn't it be the proper, or maybe the proper thing to happen? So I want to argue that both of these things that could happen would still be preferable to option A, succeeding. Even if we were successful subjugating them, limit the role of these super intelligent beings, that universe, seen from the outside, that is a less interesting universe with the intelligence tied down, chained down, and controlled by these weaker beings. I don't like that future. That's the successful future for option A. I think either one of these things that might happen would be better. Yeah, that's my view. And you guys should react at some point.
So what's the third view? You're not saying right there.
Third view?
There's another view, I think.
Just living side by side.
No.
Why do we need to subjugate them or they subjugate us?
That's B. We're risking that they subjugate us. Doesn't mean that they will. So that's what I'm trying to suggest here. We may be of some value, living side by side. Yeah. I do think there's a good chance that will happen.
Do you believe that machines and humans will be able to work together?
Well, I think humans are machines.
That too.
But, so really the question is like, can systems with diverse abilities, maybe some being much more able in important dimensions than others, can they live together and
Yeah, like
cooperate?
upon them being smarter than us,
Yeah.
have that ability.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a key question. Good.
I have a question. Like when we're talking about the intelligence, like when we're talking about humans, there's a population. We have low intelligence, high intelligence. When we talk about intelligence, artificial intelligence, we just talk about one entity.
No,
Don't you
let's
see
not do
it
that. Let's
as
have
going to
many-
be
yeah,
it's going
many.
to be a spectrum of intelligences, and we don't know still what evolution means in that population. What are the rules? We just assume they're going to get smarter, but evolution and surviving might not necessarily favors the smarter version of them. That's
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
and my version on it is that if these things are intelligent as we're saying they're gonna be, to enslave or subjugate us would not be intelligent. I think they would see that. They would look at history and say, well, that wasn't intelligent, it didn't work for humans. And now that we have the option, it wouldn't, I don't think it would work well for us, because even though we're smarter, we're gonna have to look over our shoulders because they're pretty clever, they're pretty resourceful and unpredictable, right? That's the spontaneity factor of life in Jurassic Park, where life finds a way, right? You don't know. When you try to control something,
It's fragile.
yeah, it's an illusion. You can't. Not life. Life is too intelligent, it's too phenomenal and mysterious to define or confine, and it finds a way to be. It's not gonna be.
And I think we want to keep that. We want to have this society with diverse abilities, and we shouldn't assume that we can't work together.
But aren't we going to develop as human beings I see development of intelligence within us in a way that's nothing to do with what the machines will do. Like, we also will expand on other levels. Like, call me crazy, but all my life since I've been a kid, I've been thinking, when are we going to be doing beam me up, Scotty? When am I going to be able to just do that, you know? Like, I've always believed that these kinds of things are possible, that I'll just transport, I'll be able to expand into all kinds of things. And that's a whole different intelligence. And maybe with the machines taking over a certain area of intelligence, maybe the intelligence that I have that's, you know, how much of my brain am I using? They say it's just a teensy little bit. And I don't mean just me, I mean all of us, you know, and that maybe we will expand in such a way that we will be able to do more, because we won't be having to think about how to put, you know, we don't have to do that. And that's not subjugating them. That's just letting them do what they're really good at, and us finally being able to do what we really come here for. And I don't even know what all that means. I'm just saying that there is more.
You're open to the possibilities, and you're optimistic that we're still part of some continuing process. And all of you, I think that's really great. Yeah, and you notice that these fearful people are thinking some other way. You know, I don't think it's a coincidence that many of these people are like, you know, they're masters of the universe people. They think they own the world now, and then there would be other people that would be contesting that ownership. Yeah, an Oxford University professor, he wants to make the decision of how the world is going to evolve. And Elon Musk, who can do anything, thinks he's in control, and that we'd be losing control to machines. Whereas, like, I don't think I'm in control, and I think ordinary people say, well, you know, the world is already made by politicians and generals and stuff, and they really run the world already, so we're not losing control of the world. We're just letting the world evolve.
Do you believe that in the future, when we do have the machines and they have the intelligence, that it'll become as if it's like human nature now? Like, do you think we'll have that kind of dictation?
Will we be able to make ourselves very smart like that? That's what you're saying?
Well, not
Or will we
necessarily,
have
like,
wisdom
will the
to-
machines be able to, like, are they gonna start dictating and kind of make their own kind of, almost like we have a prime minister, so like, are they gonna control?
So I think we should think about them like us. The metaphor should be, they're us, but they're different. They have different skills. Maybe they're smarter, but you know, none of us is the smartest person in the world already. And there are already smart people and less smart people, and they're smart in different ways, and they're good at different things. Our challenge is to design a world where the merits of each person can be recognized and rewarded. Now, notice a key thing about, it's the economists talk about all the time, you could have a person or an entity, yeah, let's call them persons, maybe that one person is better than another person in all ways. In all ways, they're better. Still, in a normal economy, that the less powerful person would still be valuable. Even if the other person is better than them in all ways, it's comparative advantage by the less powerful person doing something. It allows the person who could do that better, it allows them to do something else even better still. So you should resist the idea that just because a computer is a better AI researcher than I am, in all ways, that I don't have a role to play. I can still do some parts of it and save him from doing those parts of it. And thus have value, perhaps.
Okay.
I'm also really keen that ultimately we will be able to digitize our own minds, or minds that we recognize as ours, and improve our own abilities. And digitize is the right word, to digitize ourselves, so that then it can be preserved and expanded arbitrarily. Yeah, good.
Do the machines know what we're doing?
Well, will they know, or
Like, do they know as we create them, or will it come a time where they'll figure out? Like, do they need to figure it out?
figure out?
Like, that they're like they have their own sense of controlling. If that's what I'm saying.
Well, it's like making people, like having children, except that you have more control over them, and you've created them. So think what that would be like. I mean, right now, our children grow up, and we do transfer control to them. We expect them to be smarter than us, in fact, and better than us. Yeah. I actually have a bunch of comments. It may stimulate some more of you. Some more comments. Which should be changed. I think the field's overblown. I think AI will arrive slower than feared. I think it will. Some people fear that it will arrive like overnight, and they'll be super smart machines. I think it'll be more like Moore's law. We'll have a pretty smart machine one day, and then we have to wait 2 more years to get a twice as smart machine. It will seem like a long time. Just like right now, our computers are getting faster at an enormous rate, and still, we don't buy a computer every year because it's not that much faster. We do one every year. And then the greatest risks are going to come not from the machines, but from people. People are going to, I don't know, maybe they'll make armies with robot soldiers. Okay, you can't blame the machines for killing people if they've been made for that purpose. The problem is the people. And so in this sense, the problems are not technical problems, but They're problems that we can all relate to. How do you organize society? Who should be in charge? Should you do it by democratic means or other means? Yeah, so that's some metaphors. You might say, oh, just the end of technology, or it's the end of humanity, or it could be the next step for humanity, or it could be quite complex and diverse with different kinds of agents, different kinds of people. And several of these things could happen in sequence or at the same time. Let's see, what else do I want to say? I want to say understanding mind is surely good. Surely it's a good thing if we understand how we work and what minds are. But just this fact will lead to change, and it will lead to ordinary humans falling behind. Some people will improve themselves, other people will choose, I'm going to remain unimproved, unordinary, or full, or biological. And so, eventually, ordinary people, as we know them now, will be of little importance in the running of the universe. Okay? And we should resist the sense of entitlement, the sense that we are in charge now, so we should remain in charge. And that's the underlying thread through many of the discussions. We are in charge now. We can't become obsolete. How do we make sure that we still have what we have? Well, why are we entitled to what we have now? You know, most species go extinct. They live for a while and then they go extinct. And why should ours last infinitely long? Infinitely long. These attitudes are often used to avoid thinking about and preparing for the change. Well, I don't know, I should not rant because you guys aren't like that.
Will our machines become extinct, or
What?
will they live forever?
Who?
The machines, can they die?
Absolutely. Yeah, they can die. Machines can
So I
die.
guess, I was
Yeah.
hoping these ones couldn't.
But then they might have backups.
Okay.
So we might hope, I hope to have someday have to have a digital backup. Just like my computer has a backup. And yeah, my computer could get squashed and I'd have to reload the last state for my backup. And I think it will be like that at a certain point. Certainly, but maybe it will never be true for a human being like us. It will definitely be true if we succeed in AI, making machines. We would download their minds for sure. Like we would train one up to do something well, and then we would copy him.